Welcome to the Brewtiful Game. As always, I am Blake here with Ferris.
Glory, glory, Man United. Glory, glory, Man United. Glory, glory, Man United. As the Reds go marching on.
I'm so glad we're not a video podcast, so we didn't have to assault you with all that Man United scarf work. Well played. Well played. This is a rare one where it's back to me and Ferris as we had used to have several of those when Ron was out of the country for a long time. So Ferris and I have not had a duo pod in a while without Ron here. If it gets to be spicy talking, will the pod derail completely?
It probably won't, because we're probably going to agree that Chelsea are just pure right now.
Yeah, it's fair enough. And luckily, it's not like it was a Manchester versus Arsenal game that we have to talk about.
And both of our clubs won on, so it's probably going to be a much mellower pod.
Yeah. Since Ron's not here, love you, buddy. We might really have a conversation about some Chelsea going on here.
And don't you worry, Ron. I actually saw Ron before this. He's not with us because he's packing. Him and his wife are going on an awesome ski vacation up north to Canada, and he had to drop off the pup at a friend's. We met at a local brewery. I was just there, kind of hanging out, and we grabbed a pint. He goes, "You got to say two things on the pod," and they were both Chelsea related. So once we get to them, I'm going to have to add those in.
So Ron is here in spirit. So we will be talking about, just how the $500 million squad of Chelsea's doing. And then we're also going to talk about, as Ferris alluded to in the beginning there, Manchester United's victory in the, as we call it, the Chupacabra Cup, because when we first started this, we couldn't remember the name of the Carabao Cup.
It also changed like a few different times. It's technically the EFL Cup, so the English Football League.
So it's no longer
the sponsors changed like 4 times.
Is Carabao no longer the sponsor?
They are.
They
have been for a little bit now, yes. But it was called something different when we first started the pod. I don't remember what it's
Chupacabra. When we started the pod, it was the Barclays Premier League, wasn't it? Even then?
It was the Barclays Premier League, yeah.
So times have changed. And we're also going to talk about Arsenal sitting on top of the table as we run down the rest of the results from the weekend. As we said, there's no homeboy of the hot sausage on this episode. That might be one of my favorite ones yet. So we don't have any Ron's beer news this week, but we do have the return of the La Liga's roundup. Whoosh. I don't know why I did a whip sound, like the whip around. With action from the Bundesliga, La Liga, MLS, and a Scottish Cup.
Yeah, a little Scotland action on the pod for a change.
But first up, our beer. I can jump on this first if you want me to.
Go ahead, my friend.
All right, so I'll show you the can here, and obviously we'll share pictures and stuff. But I got a little Tennessee lager from Hap and Harry's. So this is kind of interesting. Hap and Harry's, they are a brewery in Nashville, Tennessee. They look like cool dudes. The brewer, Dieter Forstner, he's like got this curly red hair, like carrot top, and a captain's hat on. I'm intrigued by this dude. But if you go to hapandharrys.com, you can check it out. But here is their story. So Hap Motlow of the legendary Jack Daniel family from Lynchburg, Tennessee, used to tell his friend, exactly, used to tell his friend Harry Littman, to make great whiskey, you got to make great beer. As the first distributor of Jack Daniel's Tennessee whiskey after the repeal of Prohibition, Harry passed this lesson down through the generations of Littmans who still remain in the beverage alcohol business to date. Hap and Harry's Tennessee beers honor the rich friendship these two men shared for over half a century and be seen in the care we take in brewing every batch and tasted in every satisfying drop. Cheers to great friends and great beer. Great tag.
That's awesome, man.
I am drinking their original Tennessee lager.
Hap and Harry's Tennessee lager. That just, all of that goes together so well.
Hap and Harry sounds so British, like an English pub, until you get to the Tennessee lager. But yeah, this is just a straight up like solid little lager, 4.9 ABV. Excited to give this guy a go as I'm still working my way through. Man, just a delightful amount of Tennessee breweries that I think I've done more than I have until I keep discovering more.
That sounds a bit like Florida, and I'm sure most semi big cities or even not like are around the U.S. now, where breweries are popping up everywhere.
Well, hey man, we just got that one in Knoxville that Ron said was listed as the top 10 new brewery in the nation. Right. You gotta come to a Vols game and we'll go to that.
Oh,
or better yet, we're about to launch the One Knox SC's first full professional season in the USL. So come up for a match.
Absolutely, come up in like late September when things are starting to change up there. Get a ball game in, get a USL game in. Hell yeah, man!
Go see the game at Tennessee. Actually, it's at their soccer stadium.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, I'm going to be boring. I'm going to have a beer that we had on the pod not too long ago, actually. But as I was going through my beer fridge here, I went, how can I not do a beer from Manchester?
Perfect.
I know we've had it on before, but Blake, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let you pick which beer.
You I don't care. It's happening again.
Don't care.
Love it.
I have two. I got a short. I don't know what kind of glass you call this, but it's mainly meant for like IPAs.
It's the glass that is shaped like a 12-ounce can. Yeah.
And then I have a Guinness pint glass. Out of the two Manchester beers that we had on, which one should I do? Possibly just first, but which one should I do first?
Oh man, Victory tastes sweet. So I think that means you need to do that. That was that chocolate caramel porter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me just a second.
Yeah. Victory is sweet. For your Manchester United people. Ferris runs and grabs his beer. See, I was nice, man. I thought about it. You hopped off and I went, can I say something about Man United right now? And then like, nah, I won't do that.
Thank you. From Northern Monk, once again, their chocolate caramel biscuit porter at 5.2% all the way from Manchester, England. The Chupacabra Cup champions.
Excellent. You're allowed to do this beer again. It's from Man U. I hope you appreciate the picture I just sent you of the beer for the Untapped.
Oh, let me have a look.
Yeah, just take a look at that there.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's my beer with the
X-Wings?
Yeah, the Lego X-Wing my daughter and I built together.
Woo!
Doing this right out of the can, since it's a classic lager meant to be had at sports games. I wonder if this is at the Nashville SC's stadium.
Ooh.
I'll have to look that up.
That is a perfect beer, if I do say so myself. All right. Let's see. All right, man.
All right. Cheers, dude.
Cheers, brother. Enjoy.
Oh, man. That's like a good biscuity, crisp lager. You know, when you have those beers that you go, oh, this is what Budweiser is supposed to be. If it's like
or should be,
fresh
right.
and like, and like solid ingredients. It's not like it's anything remarkable, but by that it is actually remarkable. It's just nice, good, clean, and smooth. I mean, this is a tailgate beer.
Love it.
All day long.
Say what? Sorry.
I said this is a tailgate beer, like all day long.
Love it. This, we've had it before. That biscuit taste with just so much chocolate and caramel notes. It is so dang good, so dang smooth for a porter. It is easily one of my favorite porters out there that's available in the world because it's from Manchester. Damn good.
Delicious. Well, speaking of delicious, if you're a Man United fan, yesterday, as we record this on Monday, February 27th, freaking March is almost here, dude. Jeez.
Right.
Manchester United defeated Newcastle United at Wembley by the scoreline of 2-0. This victory marks the first time since 2017 that Manchester United has won silverware. Dang, I didn't think I realized that.
Jose Mourinho, last time that Manchester United won silverware.
Goals from Casemiro and Rashford come only 6 minutes apart. They were the deciders in this fast-paced tactical match played out wonderfully to a vibrant crowd at Wembley. Not only does this earn Erik ten Hag the first bit of silverware of the season, but also his first for Manchester United.
And, unlike when Jose won it in 2017, this is a completely different feel, right? You actually feel like Ten Hag is not going to leave the club in further flames.
Dare I say that despite the fact that Mourinho had been there longer, there's more of an identity that's been formed in the last 70 days, 60 days than it feels like existed for that Mourinho club.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you look at what Ten Hag has done, and we talked about it a little bit on the last pod when I was over there and just kind of visiting the stadium, going through the locker room, the slight changes that he made, the slight things that he did, kind of realized, okay, he's really taking control of this club, but not in control of like it's all about me, in terms of I want to make this club great again. And to what was it, in August and September, lose to Brentford 4 or 5-0, get slaughtered by Brighton, have this Ronaldo mess that was so crazy that ended up with Ronaldo going public to Piers Morgan of all folks and kind of talking smack about Ten Hag and the club and so on and so forth, to get rid of him and have only lost, I think, 2 games since the start of the new year.
So,
and be third in the Premier League and win the first of what could, I'm not saying it's going to happen, and I don't think it's going to happen, of a quadruple. That, you're talking about this time last year, the club was in shambles. Not quite Chelsea back, because we never got down to 10th, but in shambles. And you look at what he's done. It's beyond my dreams, even though I called him, although I wanted him to be in this position this time last year. I did not think this would be the case right now.
No, that's a fast turnaround, and not to I don't want to rehash this conversation in the way that we've already talked about it, but you brought up Ronaldo, and I will say it felt like when Ronaldo was signed, and this might tie into our Chelsea conversation a little bit, but when Ronaldo was signed, I felt like, as an outsider to being a fan of Man United, this is the straw from the outside looking in that breaks the camel's back. This is a joke, because this is this huge signing that doesn't mean anything. It's not something you needed. It's not something, you know what I mean? And then it went on to just be a disaster behind the scenes, well, and out on the pitch. There's something about that. Who was manager at that point? Was that Ole?
Ole still in. Yeah, and remember, Ole came off the back of a really good season. The season before that, got back in the Champions League. Did some very, very good things, and then that kind of just, as much as I love Ronaldo, like I said, he will always be my GOAT. It definitely changed the dynamic and the style of play, because everything then filtered through him. Everything was kind of about him in a way. Whether he desired that to be the case, whether he kind of had that be the case, it just is, right? It's like when you get a LeBron James in. It's gonna filter around LeBron James. So it kind of just it turned everything upside down. And to that point, there were 7 players that played this match that were on Ole's team, that was on Ralph's team. Those 7 players include De Gea in goal, Dalot, Varane, Shaw, Fred, Rashford, Bruno. But you look at the signings that Ten Hag has made and brought in and how integral they are. It's a core, right? Lisandro Martinez, just a pit bull at the back. A great partner with Varane as well. Casemiro, if not the best number 6 in the world right now, I don't know how you can argue against it.
Oh, I think in this flash of a moment, and I'm not saying he can't be. If he can hold this for through the end of the season, absolutely. Like he's the tops of the tops. I would agree with that.
And he could. He's 31 years old, or has 5 goals in his last 8 or something as a number 6. But he is more integral than anybody else on the team. He's what makes the team tick, right? And then Anthony and Weghorst, and I want to stop on him for a second. Me and friend of the pod, Phil, get into it a lot with him. Why bring in a number 9 if he's not going to score goals? And I said that's I can understand that point, but that's not what he was brought in to do. What Ten Hag brought Weghorst in to do is to hold the ball up, to press, to allow others into play, specifically your Rashfords, your Brunos, your Antonys, your Sanchos.
You don't need, I mean, everybody wants that star striker, but with the names you just threw out, you don't need the star striker when you can distribute the ball so well to so many different people.
Right. And Weghorst got an assist for the second goal on Roy Rashford. He was brought in for a purpose. And what Weghorst is doing is not what Ronaldo did. It filtered through, or it had to filter through Ronaldo. It does not have to filter through Weghorst. Weghorst is willing to do the grunt work, if you will, to chase down, to press, to put in a tackle, to just hold the ball up, to play a pass down the line or a little layoff ball. Ronaldo's not built that way.
And you also
don't expect
have
him to be that way.
We have hungry players, and like Ronaldo, he's not hungry anymore.
He is, but he's hungry for, I mean, dare I say, himself.
Yes, yeah.
He's hungry for goals. He's a goal scorer. That's what he is. Understandably, Weghorst is different. Weghorst does not have the best first touch. Weghorst does not have the best shot around. He put a beautiful shot on this. That was a great save by Ferris, but he was brought in to serve a purpose, to fit a Ten Hag style that he wants to do, and he's doing it. No questions asked. Yes, boss. No, boss. I will do that. And that's a complete team.
It's
you
so
had
wild.
Those pieces into everybody else. It's a complete team.
It's wild to me that between our two clubs, Arsenal and Man United, that literally the big turnarounds were basically around firing veteran stars.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that crazy?
And to Arsenal, the things that were brought in for you all are similar, right? A Zinchenko, a Gabby Jesus. Core players that offer hunger, that offer more, and add to the talent that's already there.
But it goes to show you, like, you know, we've all worked in show business, and we'll say a ton of times, like, man, if I'm hiring a bunch of performers, like, give me like an A+ person backstage who's like a B+ on stage, and I can make them a star. Like, and between oh my gosh, his name just poured out of my head. He's at Chelsea now. They're dealing with him.
Jorginho? No.
Arsenal. They fired Aubameyang. I think, geez, I was like, could not think of his name in my life. That's how much I flushed him out of my memory. But for Aubameyang, whatever was going on back behind the scenes, which kind of was clear that was the situation, and then obviously based on some of the behavior on pitch, there were problems off pitch with Ronaldo. And it is amazing how much a bad apple can really cause problems. And I mean, look, you have a brand new coach to Man United in Ten Hag. You have a very young coach, period, in Arteta. And there's some chutzpah in doing that, right? Mm-hmm. Like people that are supposed to be, even when they're in the decline, it can turn around and bite you in the butt, right? And and of course, Aubameyang went on to do very well at Barcelona and then faded away.
He probably should just stay there.
I think, man, he may come back cheaply because Chelsea's got to get rid of some players if he doesn't end up at MLS. But man, I just like, what you said at your trip over Ten Hag, just like, this is, hey, it's cool. Speaking of my X-Wing that I made with my daughter before we went to bed, she goes, "Can we watch some Mandalorian?" So, Ten Hag
starts again on Wednesday, right?
Yeah. We're catching up to the end of season 2 now. But on that note, Ten Hag came in and said, "This is the way. This is the way this is going to be done." And
I can get on board with that.
Clearly it's a very different thing. And I really like Ole. I think he brings a lot of the past, though, with him. And I think it was just time to go, it is a new era. It is a new... if Ronaldo was 18 years old today, hitting, professional football, he'd probably turn out a different player. Not still a great player. I don't know if that conceited sort of hungry for self gold functions in today's game where players are asked to do more.
Not entirely, right?
Yeah.
Not entirely. You're seeing, Mbappe is not quite as flashy, not quite as arrogant, if you will. Not built in that Zlatan model.
Mbappe's
Ronaldo,
a great example.
But he does hold a certain level of confidence and a certain level of arrogance when he plays. But you don't see that necessarily from post-match interviews, from teammates in the locker room, from any of those type of things, from reports that come out about them.
He still seems very much.
I think you're right.
A team player.
Be different.
He's a team player. Like there's no doubt of that. And I think that if he'd come up in Ronaldo's heyday, it could be a very different situation.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's just we've talked about this in pods previous of, hey man, now we've got this Guardiola guy and we've got Klopp over here. We've got Mourinho, for example. We would talk about. I think his time is done. The Premier League is changing. And what is that going to look like? And I think you're seeing it now, between Ten Hag, even with Liverpool struggling as they are now, I don't count Klopp out any stretch of the means, but Guardiola, Arsenal's doing great, but who is his mentor? Guardiola. You got Ten Hag coming in and on the other side of this match, you have, ex-Bournemouth manager.
Yeah.
Flipping Eddie Howe coming in and being part of that new wave of Premier League manager. I think times have just changed. And I think Ten Hag slots right into how the Premier League was changing from my point of view. I hate you signed him. I really wanted you to get Pochettino.
I'm sure you did.
Absolutely. Are you sure you don't want Graham Potter?
No, thank you. I'm perfectly fine. I will stick with the only Potter that I know and love, and that's Harry.
Yeah, man. It's like a new dawn of a new era. This is the way that the managers are going to be. And while they're all different, Ten Hag to me slots into that. And Eddie Howe, although he's been in the Premier League it is different. Now he's doing what he did at Bournemouth, but with more money and better players.
Yeah, and I don't want to patronize them too much by saying, they were, they're an awesome team. They played well. Yeah. I mean, they all of that is true. I don't think this was a finals match where a 2-0 scoreline looks as if United wiped the floor with them. That was not the case. I
agree. A closer game than that scoreline belies.
Yeah, it was tight, fairly even for a majority. United had the more shots on target. Karius, not a factor in this game in terms of not that big mistake that kind of cost him in the Liverpool squad several years back. He actually had a great game. You can't blame any of the 2 goals on him. The first was just a lovely ball in by Shaw, and was just inviting anybody to get a head on that ball, and it happened to be the man himself, Casemiro, who, listen to this stat, has played 14 career finals at club level. He's won 13 of them. That's a 92.86 win rate when a trophy is on the line. If he's not a big game player, I don't know who is.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. That's wild. And then the second goal, just a lovely bit of play, and Wakehorst held it up, made a run towards the defense, and then just kind of a little slot ball on right in front of where Rashford was making an outstanding run. He kind of scuffed it, took the deflection off the shin. It was given as a Rashford goal at first, and then later given as an own goal, and then today officially ruled a Rashford goal. So he did get to the second.
I didn't catch that, actually, that it switched back.
Yep.
Cool.
But neither of which were on Karius at all. And Ron said something to me earlier today that I thought, that it's probably true, is had this final happened prior to the World Cup, this may have been a much different match and a much harder match. If not, Newcastle might have won it because of how they were playing prior to the World Cup. Yeah. The form that they were on, right?
Isn't it interesting? We were all talked about that, like what's going to happen to the clubs following. And a lot of the clubs that were doing well actually haven't really slipped much. Or in the case of even Man United, gotten better. Newcastle, though, still there, but they look like they slipped just
and they actually are out of the top 4 as we speak and are down to 5th. This match obviously not playing effect, but they are tied on points with the 4th place team, which is Tottenham, which we'll chat about here in a sec. But real quick, a few other stats from this: 181 clean sheets for David De Gea, passes the infamous Peter Schmeichel for clean sheets of Manchester United. He has been with the club, 10 plus years. I don't ever want to see him go. He may be due for a mistake with his feet, or he may not always have played the best game, but there's nobody else that I want between those sticks. He's just United through and through.
He's more than earned a mistake here and there still at this point. I mean,
yep.
Yeah. Because when he is on too, it is the most frustrating thing. You guys can be playing a wretched game and still pull out a draw or maybe even a victory
Barcelona,
against a better
week. We got walloped by them essentially in the first half. We're down 1-0. Second half, Ten Hag makes a couple of subs, changes a little bit of tactics, and boom, 2-1. And we beat the most informed team we'll get to that later on the pod. We're the most informed team in La Liga. They had an 8.9 point lead over the second place team. So, it's going the right way for United right now, and I think they came out and said a lot of good things. We have 3 more that we got to go for. We got to continue to work hard. There was a report that came out. They got back from the flight and were training again, or they may have trained early this morning following the final, because there's a match on Wednesday, an FA Cup match that we have. So it's a quick turnaround.
West Ham, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
In the FA Cup, the 7th round. One quick other stat: Christian Eriksen won his first trophy in England after nearly 10 years in Premier League football.
Hey, love it. Love that guy. I mean, that
did not
what
play
a story.
In this match. Obviously, is going to be out for at least another month or 2. But obviously was a part of getting the team to the final. And then lastly, if you haven't seen Erik ten Hag dancing with Martinez and Antony after the match, as they each have their kind of flags around them, it is a moment that you can tell those players work for him.
I don't know, man.
He works for them.
He needs to relax. It's not like they won the Premier League. I don't know why.
I knew you were going to say something. No, we won even better. The Chupacabra Cup.
Yeah, the Chupacabra Cup. Premier League.
EFL Cup.
That's Premier League's chump change next to that.
Yeah, right?
The cup that all the managers complain about having to play.
Exactly. But I'll take it.
Yeah, they don't mind they love it at the end, but they don't mind the FA Cup. They don't mind Champions League, obviously.
No, it's always the EFL Cup.
It's that EFL Cup, man.
It's silverware in the cabinet and a confidence boost at the very least.
That is one of those things when you're getting new American fans into the sport that they're like, well, wait, but then why an EFL Cup if you're doing the FA Cup and that's never? You're like, it's just tradition. It's just you know what? It sells more tickets and it sells more beer and pies the game. It keeps people employed. That's what it is, man.
And a trip to Wembley.
That's what it is. And just wait till we add in a European Super League to that schedule. Then it gets even crazier.
Well, maybe not. Did you see those new laws in England?
Yeah. Where England is going to be the first major European league where like there is regulation oversight from the government.
Yeah, there's a regulator that's going to be hired to. Yeah,
no, which is crazy because we just had this whole conversation with stuff with Man United and purchases and stuff. So I mean, that
doesn't affect that at all. But you still have to fit still have to pass the Premier League's fit and proper ownership test, which is like, have you murdered anybody? No.
Yeah. What, did you hire anyone to murder you? Oh, we can't prove that. So, but no, well done, man. You got some silverware for the season.
Thanks, sir.
It has to feel good after a rough run and clearly pointed in the right direction. Now, on that note, in the wrong direction, the opposite way. Also on Sunday, over in the Premier League, Chelsea once again lose as they drop down to 10th in the table. Meanwhile, a 2-0 victory for Tottenham in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium against the Blue solidified their place in the top 4 for the time being. As for Chelsea and Graham Potter, this loss in the league once again piles more pressure on him and those responsible for assembling an over $500 million squad. Did I call it last pod? He's got 3. He's got 3 matches. He's got 2 more. 2 more now.
Here's the thing. Real quick. Ron said, don't fire Potter now. There's absolutely no point of it. Wait till the end of the season. Hire Emma Hayes as the head coach and Sam Kerr as the number 9 for Chelsea. Because they know how to play and they know how to manage. And I said, Ron, I'm on board with that. And I absolutely agree. Sam Kerr would put some goals in.
Well, speaking of that, Ron sent us that little chart that said no team has scored fewer Premier League goals than Chelsea since the start of November. 14 for Leeds and Fulham, 12 for West Ham, 12 for Wolves, 11 for Newcastle, 10 for Nottingham, 10 for Bournemouth, 8 for Southampton, 8 for Crystal Palace, 6 for Everton, 6 for Chelsea. That is wretched.
Yeah. Yes.
And you know what's crazy?
Sean Dyche's Everton was scoring more goals than a $500 million Chelsea score.
And I go down the list since November and go, Newcastle, 11 goals. Ooh, that's actually rough, bud. That's why you guys are struggling. Like you're not putting them in the net like you were. But then you go, but wait, we got to keep going down. I mean, they are at least in the top, fighting for European spots here. At Chelsea is now. I'm looking at the math. Looking at, well, pardon me here, where I pull up the table. Chelsea currently sit at 10th. They've got 31 points. Villa below them have 31 points. Now below that in 12th is Crystal Palace with 27 points. Above Chelsea is Brentford with 35 points. So unless Brentford and Brighton really F up.
And lose their 2 games in hand, by the way, because both of them have 2 games in hand.
You are correct. They have games in hand. Chelsea does not. They have 1 game in hand, looks like.
Who does?
Chelsea. They're at 24 matches.
Oh, yeah. Brentford 23. Brighton, 22. Liverpool,
23. And those are the 3 clubs above them. Liverpool 7th, Brighton 8th, Brentford at 9. I don't think looking at, and I really hadn't, I sat down to do this yesterday looking at the, I think mathematically, they really don't have anywhere to go but down. Brentford could screw up, but Brighton right now is showing more promise at consistently staying in that, bouncing between that 7th to 9th spot. Liverpool kind of doing the same thing, right? I don't think either one of those clubs are going to tank. Brentford, maybe, but Brentford's 4 points ahead of Chelsea. Chelsea bouncing between 10th and 11th for a good chunk, if not the rest of the entire season, is highly likely. Especially at this just complete desert of a goal scoring that they're doing.
Yeah, and you look at their next few games, as we're talking about here, and against Leeds, against Leicester, against Everton, against Villa. Those are all matches where you, back in September, November, would have said, oh, Chelsea should easily win all of those. Now you're going, these are going to be tough. Leeds fighting not to be back down in the relegation zone. Leicester City, much better since the break, up there in 14th, can move up into the top 10th in 2 games. Essentially, Everton fighting for Premier League survival. Villa just below Chelsea in 11th, fighting to be in the top 10. So what is seemingly looking like it could have been easy games now have more pressure on the Chelsea side than they do for Leeds, for Leicester, for Everton, for Villa. That's not going to help the situation at all. And you fail to score against Leeds or any of the next few games and you get beat, especially at home, because there's 3 out of those 4 are at home. It is April 1st, right? Isn't that what Ron called?
Yeah.
It could. It could. Because then there's something, $500 million, the very least has to buy you some goals, and right now it's not buying you any.
So 24 matches Chelsea has played. They are only 10 points above Everton in 18th.
Jeez.
That's bonkers. And as you just said, slap $500 million on that. And I realized you buy new players, it doesn't just change the club overnight. But did you see, and I apologize, I meant to have this pulled up for the pod, but there's all this rumbling now where Potter is having a frustrating time in practice because he has so many players to practice.
38 players.
And we were making jokes about it, but he's literally saying like, oh, it's tough because I only use them when I need them, and some people are kind of waiting around for a long time. Like, that's a bad front office doing that to their manager.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, again, it's like a rich dude who's just rolled in and is having fun. Like, he watched Ted Lasso and thought this will be a blast. Like, I'm not sure.
And you look at their starting lineup, and minus maybe some injuries, right, that they had. It's a pretty strong starting lineup. Reece James at the back, Silva, Koulibaly, Chilwell, all the back. Your preferred right back, your preferred left back, and probably your preferred center back pairing, right? Now, Enzo Fernandez, who I think has actually been quite good. He's been, for the role and position he plays, maybe not a $100 million player, but he looks like a very, very bright player, and I think he's going to have a long career. Loftus-Cheek's in there, right? You would probably prefer maybe a Mason Mount, or definitely who returned to training, and a goal Conte in there instead, right? So that's one. Off to the left, Sterling. At $400K a week, you're playing Sterling. He's probably going to be your preferred left winger over Christian Pulisic, who's currently injured. Kai Havertz and Joao Felix in that number 9 and 10 role, flip-flop. Probably your preferred front two right now. And then right wing, Hakim Ziyech. Probably not your preferred. It's probably going to be Mudryk. But that's still a strong squad. That should at least put the ball in the back of the net against Tottenham.
But like, and that's a good point. I mean, like, but like Mudryk, right? That's like the star signing of the season for Premier League in the sense of just ridiculous contract and money. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this was just, and that, I mean,
he came in the 83rd.
As an Arsenal fan,
that makes you happy.
Boy, am I so glad that we did not snag him. Now, granted, maybe over with that, sometimes right player, wrong club, right? It can happen.
Sure.
And maybe he'd be good there or somewhere else. But he's got to be sitting there going, I signed an 8-year contract. 8 years. Like, and Chelsea's got to be going, we signed an 8-year contract. Even if we thought we could get our money back in 3 years. If this is what's happening, you're not. Like, this is a mess. Yeah. And like look at
it is.
And look at the, like, even though, yes, it's different managers now, even a different owner, but like, it's like the Lukaku stuff is still happening, where they paid all that money, then turned around and basically gave him back to, for free. You and I have had the opportunity to slide quite a lot with our clubs and then watch them slowly build back up a direction and go, okay, I can get behind this. Even when it was only looking kind of good, not like great. I, for the life of me, do not understand at all what is happening here. The Abramovich stuff shouldn't matter anymore. I know that's a crazy time, but that's what Tuchel inherited. He inherited the crazy switch over. I mean, is it the owners? I know we don't know a lot about them. I don't understand. I cannot wrap my head around what is going on right now at that club and how they're going to get out of it. Like Ron said,
I think it's still a little too early to tell. With both the owners, with both the new manager, you look back and was firing Tuchel the wrong decision at the wrong time, and it probably was. What's the harm of having him see out the season, working with top level talent to try to get out of the hole, which you're probably not going to get down into any sort of dangerous level with him, but work through some bad results, and then at the end of the season, if you want to bring in Potter to have an off season in the summer with, okay, great. But no, it was like new ownership came in. You know what? We want Potter. Brighton are playing well. We kind of want the hot manager now. So
and you said
here's
it, though.
The plan. Let's fire it and then boom.
But hot manager now. Well, the smarter play would have been like, you know what? We can make a better offer and get him at the end of the season, and we'll get the benefit of seeing if he's a flash in the pan or if this is the real deal.
Agreed. But instead it was just money, right? And it was, hey, let's buy him out over there. Let's do this. Let's boom, boom, boom. And it's going to be kind of almost instant. We're going to start playing like Brighton, but with better players. And that has not been the case.
Now, this is the time to get Pochettino back.
Well, he could go to Chelsea. I think if things go completely even more pear-shaped than they are now, if I'm Bowley, I do everything I can to bring in Zinedine Zidane.
Well, right now, that's the top ones. But Pochettino, Zidane, Luis Enrique, Diego Simeone, and of course, Jose Mourinho has entered the chat.
Yeah, I don't think so. I really don't.
I want it for our podcast so bad.
I think you can at least sell it on Zidane. It's London. It's a posh part of town. But unlimited funds could,
Although he is
no Champions League will hurt them though.
He has seemed to not be keen though on the England thing.
No, he's not. But you could persuade him in a lot of ways. But
can you imagine
before
though?
We kind of say what? Sorry.
Before that last thing, can you just imagine if this ends basically as it is now, with Brighton in 8th, let's say they don't even move up from there, and Chelsea end in 10th, how huge it would be for the massive club of Chelsea to have yanked Brighton's star manager, spend $500 million, and Brighton might still get a European play.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is, and the thing is, that's
wild.
not even a big what if. That looks very likely.
The odds are better for them to get in than it does for Chelsea.
If you can't score
over them at this point,
even if they don't lose, they just keep drawing. It's a mess. Anyway, sorry, you were going to say?
No. I was actually going to kind of comment on the table. I was mistaken. Newcastle have only played 23 games. Tottenham 25, but Tottenham are in 4th, 4 points ahead of Newcastle, and a bit of a good run for Tottenham as of late. Good goal by Skip, bad ball out of the back, and Skip just hopped on it, and a once in a million strike for him, but it was a hell of a goal. And then it boggles my mind how anybody leaves Harry Kane open on the back post off of a corner kick. It's wild to me how the ball always finds the way to the back post with Kane there.
We've seen it
Chelsea
a million
didn't convert
times.
The chances, had the lion's share for the most part, about 59% to 49% of the ball possession. Total shots were close, 8 to 10. One big chance for Tottenham. Passes were by far in favor, or not by far, but more accurate. Were in favor of Chelsea. They're not producing
anything,
quality chances.
No. And Lukaku was doing nothing there, but he also, when he was there, no chances being created. Like, nothing's changed.
He could be there next season because he's only out on loan to it.
Oh my God, I forgot that fact. Because what they need is one more person at the practices.
Right.
I mean, at this point, it's our chance to become Premier League players, Ferris. I think we can get on that club.
Yeah, fat chance.
Now, what do you think the fire sale or loan situation is going to be at the end of the season? Is going to be bonkers. They have so many players.
I mean, you can go through their those that were on the bench or injured right now, and I can tell you who will be back on loan. Broja will be on loan. Pulisic will be gone. Gallagher on loan. Madueke, is that his name? Will probably be on loan. Marcus Benelli on loan. Wesley Fana possibly on loan. If not, then Zachariah on loan. I mean, you can go through just these players that we're seeing right here, and that's not even the 38 that they have in or whatever.
And right now,
they're in training right now.
They're not doing much to get money off of those guys when they sell them. I found this is on goal.com, so I mean, but what was the whole thing about Graham Potter believing that the size of the current Chelsea squad is causing problems in training as he has too many players to coach? I mean, yeah. And I see people on Twitter going, oh, now his excuses are coming out. But I'm like, well, that's true. And I find it very hard to believe, as much as they tried to play it like, oh, no, Potter was in on all this stuff. I find it hard to believe that he truly was in on being
he doesn't
to make
want
all those
3
decisions.
full squads to have to train.
No. I don't believe that. I think that's just, hey, check out what we got for you. What do you think? Sounds good. Okay, good, because they're pulling up now. I'm glad you liked them.
Yeah.
They're here. Like,
it's like, hey, Potter's having a dinner party, and I'm expecting 4 other families to show up, and then hey, we're bringing our friends, the Smiths. They have a family of 5, and then we're bringing our family, the O'Connors, a family of 6.
Just think
do
about,
you have enough food? Oh, yeah, we'll figure it out.
Just think about that Mudryk money, and think about them snagging like 3 needed players, like 3 veterans. Actually, the equivalent of what they just sold to their rival in Arsenal, getting Jorginho, or like picking up how they picked up Trossard from Brighton, like picking a couple of pieces they just need to get a little better would have been so much better spent than.
Yep.
Insane. Ron, it was fun to not have you here for this one, so we could just pee on Chelsea for a little. Although I think he'd probably be right here with us if he was. I pardon me, we ran a little long there, so I will push on into the rest of the Premier League. Friday night, Willem and Wolves played out a spirited 1-1 draw in front of a spirited Craven Cottage crowd. Craven Cottage, still my favorite, I think, grounds name.
I wish to God we could have gotten into it. It would just be awesome from the outside, and would have loved to have seen a match someday.
Aston Villa, which I can't believe during that crazy Aston Villa and Arsenal match, me and Matt called to not text each other at all.
Oh, that's true.
They helped to put Everton back in the relegation zone places as goals from Oli Watkins and Emiliano Buendia earn Villa all 3 points at Goodison. Alternatively, Leeds wins at home, courtesy of a 77th minute Firpo goal against Southampton. Southampton causing some problems for people here later in the season. But as you said, playing them gets harder when you I don't even know
when
about
they have to fight for their Premier League
fight or just like screw it. Now it's all out the tank, so we're just gonna go bonkers as some of us last time playing the Premier League, whatever. Like, yeah, they get more dangerous. Martinelli's goal, moving over to Arsenal and Leicester, they took just after the first half is all it took for Arsenal to remain top of the table and earned them all 3 points against Leicester City. My side note to that is I enjoyed that match because it wasn't anything great. It just was one of those away games you got to win that they barely let. I mean, Leicester was anemic. They put like no shots. It's really sad.
Yeah, and that's partly due to what Arsenal do on the other side of the ball and the level of pressure that they put on other teams so much, and the level of ball possession that they can hold. So it kind of stinges that side a bit, right?
Yeah, if
unless you have your quality teams like a United, a Man City, or that can kind of play with Arsenal in that, and tactics kind of have to be changed to kind of go back and forth, and you're kind of just taking punch after punch from each other, they're going to gobble up most teams and just lay all of them on.
And Leicester
other teams
is dying for that sort of aggressiveness that they do not have right this season. A Danny Ings brace in the second half for West Ham was the catalyst for a 4-0 rout over Nottingham Forest, making that draw with the Man City looking weird.
Yeah, but a good win for West Ham.
Yeah, they needed it.
They needed that, and that took them not clear of the relegation zone, but 2 points above Everton, both tied on the amount of games played.
Yes. Sorry, where are you at there? Where are they sitting at right now?
16.
16. There we go. Oh, I couldn't find them. Yeah. All right. Boom, boom, boom. And then Holland gets back on the score sheet. It has been a little bit for him. He's only got 20,000 goals now. What is he at? 22, 23? What's he at now? Holland gets
74 and a half.
Jeez, it's ridiculous. No, that's his height. Holland gets back on the score sheet as Manchester City returned to winning ways on the South Coast with a 4-1 win over Bournemouth. Bournemouth, I don't know if they're going to dig out of this one. Liverpool,
I don't either.
I don't think Southampton is either. We keep calling for them to get relegated every year, and they don't. And I think we did again this year. I can't remember, but this might be the year.
Ron might actually get his Southampton pick to go down correct for a change.
Yeah, every time it's never worked. And Liverpool once again look just rudderless on just a 0-0 draw to Crystal Palace at Selhurst. That was a big,
interesting.
Just a wet fart of a game, like just
pretty much. Like,
I mean, to be honest, to me, it's kind of on Crystal Palace to not be able to put that away. They should probably have been able to do that. It was not.
Yeah,
it was not good times for Liverpool. I really appreciate that our Tony Soundgood's friend has did chats with all of us via text, and Ferris changed the name of the text group to Liverpool Support Chat, and I love
support
it.
Group.
Support group.
Liverpool
That's right.
Support group. Yeah, it's one of those where you kind of like sit down. Hi, my name's Tony. Been a Liverpool supporter for 12 years. I love Klopp to death. However, the amount of time it stings my heart knowing that Sadio Mane is no longer with us.
That's the big one.
That Giorgio Wijnaldum's no longer with us. That people have been injured. That
what
happened to Mo Salah?
That is a really good point. You said Klopp, and to just tie back into what we were talking about in the Premier League with Chelsea and things. Another manager might be feeling a little heat right now. Look, they won the Champions League. They won the Premier League, right? Yeah, they won the Champions League, didn't they? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Klopp's fine. I know Tuchel wasn't, but Klopp is fine. Because also, imagine you were going to fire Klopp tomorrow. You're not getting anybody like that.
No.
But when the season ends, you maybe could, if Klopp's like, I think I'm ready to go. I think it's time to do something, whatever. Liverpool, even having a struggle this year, imagine them and Chelsea at the same time enter the market for a manager. Who's that top line manager going to go? They're going to go to Liverpool. It's not even a competition.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, you just look at the mess
Less
and go,
of a dumpster fire.
Oh, yeah, you go, over here, I can fix this.
There's a dumpster there, but it's not on fire.
Yeah. You say, I can fix this. Like, we can do something there.
Yeah.
This?
We can empty the dumpster. We can start again.
Yeah.
And it's at Chelsea, you just throw more stuff in there to help the fire go right now.
I feel like that's the danger they're sitting at, is like they now have kind of put themselves in a situation. Graham Potters, or like maybe an Eddie Howe before maybe this run, but like it's like an experiment. And granted, Arsenal, Arteta was an experiment, right? That might have blown up in their face, getting a young guy.
It came close to, right?
Right.
At least in the fans' eyes, it did.
I don't know if I don't. That's a rough spot. Sorry, Ron. We're still not done. Yeah. Now I'll be done, and we can move over to the La Liga's roundup.
First, I'm gonna grab my other beer from Manchester.
You
and
get your other beer.
Pop that one open.
I'm gonna be boring and just drink my one other beer, or just drink my Tennessee lager that I have been slowly sipping. This thing has been delicious. All right, Ferris. All right. What's the second one? I forget what the second one was.
Hazy IPA, 7.2% from Northern Monk and Manchester Straight.
Oh,
fresh from the north, heathen.
This beer is really good. I'm stoked to try it. I was very frustrated because I forgot. Do you remember that Devil's Backbone company that I had that like reindeer beer?
Yeah.
I forgot that I got their limited edition hazy, but I bought so much beer through Christmas and put it in like my beer cabinet that I had stuff in front of it. I would love to have had this for this pod. I was very upset to discover it was still, I was in there and warm.
Real quick, I'm going to go and cheers my beer to at the Brewtiful Game bar real quick that I have.
Your shrine?
Behind me here at my house. And I have the old Trafford, like blueprint. And I have my pass to do the stadium tour. Then I have a mug that I got. And I'm surprised they still had it in the store, but I had to buy it. Pretty sure it was on sale, but it's a Cristiano Ronaldo #7 mug. So I'm going to go cheers my beer to that real quick. So just give me a second.
The funny thing is, They paid Ferris to take that. As I'm looking at this thing right now, ridiculous. It is a hideous Ronaldo mug. I'll make sure to get that on the website. I got a picture of it. It's not hideous, but it is weird that when Ferris went to the merch store there at Man United, they paid him to take that coffee mug. It was very weird.
Oh, this beer tastes fantastic. Tastes like a championship winning beer. Really? All right. Liga's Roundup.
Hit it.
I gotta fix my mic stand. Kind of fell apart here. So, anyways, it's not quite the sound setup like at Ron's house. Sorry, I'm having issues now too. Like I'm having all sorts of issues.
I just imagined that you were gonna fall like head over heels and just see your feet go up.
The screen, beer goes flying everywhere. All right, La Liga's Roundup. Start off in the Bundesliga. Well, if you haven't been paying attention, the race for first in the Bundesliga has been quite entertaining so far this season, with Bayern, Borussia Dortmund, and Union Berlin all being tied on 43 points prior to this past weekend's match week 22. All three of them were in action. However, only two of them now sit on 46 points at the conclusion of the weekend. Borussia Dortmund, for 24 hours, took the lead atop of the table courtesy of Julian Brandt's 43rd minute goal against Hoffenheim, which saw the Black and Yellows win 1-0 on the road. Again, though, they were only atop for a short period of time as Bayern Munich the next day showed that, well, you kind of have to beat them in order to take the top spot in Germany, as they put 3 past the aforementioned third-place team of Union Berlin. They put all 3 of those past in the first half. Goals from Choupo-Moting, Kingsley Coleman, and Jamal Musiala were more than enough to return the German Giants to first. And I don't think Borussia Dortmund and Bayern don't play until, I think, April 1st, actually. So that should be fun. So keep an eye on the Bundesliga. It's heating up. Over to the La Liga. Well, if you weren't paying attention, the race for first in the Liga is also starting to get a little interesting. And kind of, right? Real Madrid on Saturday were down 1-0, but were able to muster up a 1-1 draw against their Madrid rivals, Atletico Madrid. However, later, not only that day, but the next day, it kind of showed that might have been 2 points lost opposed to a point gained, as their bitter rivals Barcelona lost 1-0 to Almeria. A Luis Suarez, no, not that biter Luis Suarez, his Colombian brother from another mother and country, Luis Suarez, assisted the goal, which was scored by El Balil Torre, which ended up being just enough to beat the Catalonian team in first. So Barcelona right now remain in first on 59 points, 7 points ahead of Real Madrid, who they actually play each other this Thursday, not in the league, but in a El Clasico Copa del Rey semifinal match. Should be interesting. And that's 2 losses in 1 week for Barcelona. Kind of rare for them this season.
An odd hiccup in a season that they were a runaway locomotive on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So still a lot to be played there. And I don't quite know when they play El Clasico again in the league. I don't know if they have any more games left or not. But keep an eye on that league. Both of those games are also on ESPN Plus, if I'm not mistaken, both the Bundesliga games and La Liga games. Over, and if you weren't paying attention, to Scotland. Yes, Scotland. Don't get a whole lot of talk on this pod besides any of their nice libations that come out of that particular part of the UK. But there was an Old Firm derby yesterday, and it was an Old Firm derby for silverware in terms of their League Cup, so not the league. It was 2 goals from, I'm going to butcher this name probably. Blake, do you want to go ahead?
Okay, I was going to try to help you out there. Hold on. Oh, I moved my piece. Kyogo Furuyashi.
Yeah, love it. It's way better than me.
Yeah, Kyogo Kyogo Furuhashi. It should have been. I threw a Y in the middle there.
A brace from him and 2 goals on either side of the break saw the green and white side of Scotland and Celtic beat their long-standing rivals on the blue side of Scotland in Rangers 2-1 in what was a cup final that all fans of soccer want to see more of from these two sides. I was able to watch a good bit of the second half after I played in my game and before the League Cup over in England, and it looked like it was a stadium was rocking. Fans have to be not just split by a row of folks. You know how in England there's just a line of security.
Right.
This is a line of security plus another like section and a half, and then another line. So like it's this much larger gap between their fans.
Yeah, it's wild. It's things get a little heated over there.
Yes, they do. Now, over in the league for the Scottish Premiership, Celtic do hold a 9-point lead over Rangers for the top spot in Scotland. Now, their next match up in the league is set for Saturday, April 8th. With both sides this season, both these series kind of being in favor of Celtic, as Celtic won their first 4-0, and then the two sides drew 2-2 shortly after the turn of the year. It just, the Old Firm Derby never disappoints. It's kind of hard to watch nowadays over here, but if you can and you can find it, tune into it because it's usually a very feisty, fun match.
Yeah, and Glasgow is a city that literally, if you, even if you're from there, don't wear the color blue or green, you will walk to the wrong place, and they will assume you are a supporter walking where you shouldn't. So if you ever travel to Glasgow, just remember, my friends who are from Glasgow were literally, I ran to them at Edinburgh and was going to go to Glasgow before they got back. And they were like, did you pack anything blue or green? Well, yeah, they did. Do not wear. I was like, okay. They're like, look at me in the eye and tell me you will not wear either of those colors. I was like, okay. Yeah.
Promise me.
Very serious.
And lastly, on the La Liga's roundup, we remain here in the States with a little MLS.
MLS.
I don't have the sound.
Oh, I know. I got to add that to the soundboard here. I keep forgetting to do that.
There was a whole host of games. And if you weren't paying attention or you didn't listen to our last podcast, MLS returned to action this weekend. On Saturday, there were 11 matches which kicked off the 27th season of the MLS and their new partnership with Apple TV Plus. Blake, did you get a chance to catch that?
I did. So, okay, overall, I think for the most part, this is how you do it, maybe. Mm-hmm. Now, I say that with caveats. There are little things that aren't great, but they don't. There's this weird thing in the Whip Around show where the pundits would like put their back to the camera and look at the screen, and you were looking at their.
Yeah, I heard that from a few folks. Yeah.
And so there are things like that. Now, and here's my caveats. If they have, if the people who are producing this see the same things we're seeing and they make changes, this can be a really huge thing for a change in sports, right? Apple, I don't know if you guys know this, they have so much money. They literally have so much cash on hand. Yep. It's ridiculous. Yep. And they're moving into sports pretty hard. So if they can tweak the things, I think it will be very good. I'll say this. All the pundits they got to cover the individual games and everything else were really good. I mean, there was no like super weak section of that. Granted, I didn't watch all the matches, but I went around and then on some of the replay, went through. There are some confusing things if you watch on your phone, some tech like UI things. But hey, if anything good Apple is good at, they'll work that out real quick. Yeah. I mean, here's the reason I say this is how to get it done. If you can imagine what they just took on and did for the first time ever, it's like a huge success. Are there things they need to fix? Sure. But the quality, I mean, it's not 4K, it's 1080p, but it looked beautiful, man. Like I like just absolutely gorgeous. And to be honest, now I love me my Peacock. I love me the NBC crew for the football. But sometimes that Peacock app is a little, it's not great on how to use certain things, especially if you're ever on Apple TV and you're trying to do their highlights and switch between. It's weird. This competition's a good thing. This should actually make NBC up the ante, because the MLS coverage like $1 million, and you know what it certainly doesn't like? Fox coverage. Did you see the Fox coverage? Which, you remember, Fox already got trashed, right? But did you see,
I didn't. But I had heard that
you didn't see the picture.
They had to. Like, John Strong and Stu Holden were here in Florida doing it, and not in Seattle or something for some reason. They were behind this like weird backdrop.
No, it was like a backdrop.
It was weird.
It was folded up in a pickup and opened up. It was crinkled and like, dude, it was so. Like, I realized like Apple scooped them on the exclusives and everything for this, but it was so bad. The Apple thing looked great, and I'll tell you this, man. Again, Apple has so much money. I could easily see when it comes up for the renewals again for a Premier League that the competition isn't about Disney's ESPN and NBC trying to fend off them or Paramount or HBO Max. It is going to be Apple, because they have so much money. The experience, I mean, a outstanding start. By the way, just so you were wondering, the capital market cap of Apple right now is 2.34 trillion. They producing this to like $1 million is like literally nothing to them. So, world of sports about to change. Ferris, you and I mentioned it in the last pod. You could see this changing things. Did you see Apple's after the Pac-12 or Pac-10? What are they now? They keep changing.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
But
it's Pac-12.
But like that's huge. So I do think you will see. I think you'll see this make some changes. You know. Here's MLS and Apple. The grand media experiment begins. Plus the Pac-12 media thoughts. That's actually an Athletic article that's out right now. But they may be adding that to their streaming service. So yeah, a really good kickoff to the whole thing, man. Again, I cannot overstate how good the quality looked. When I lived in Orlando and watched it on our local feed, it did not look that good.
Well, and that's kind of what I want to say, because I just flipped on Portland and Sporting KC. That match was postponed due to weather in Portland for tonight. So it's currently taking place as we record on Monday the 27th at 11:27 p.m. And I have the TV off to my left here in my home, and the quality is wonderful. Because you're right. Anytime we tried to flip on a OC match or watched another match that wasn't on Fox or any of those type of things, as Jason Davis of United States of Soccer put it today, it was like the fog lens was ripped off of the screen, and you can finally see the games clear.
Yeah, it was. And you know what's crazy? I'd watch the MLS games and be like, God, why do these just look like poop compared to the Premier League and Bundesliga? And the fact is, they didn't have to. But they threw down, man, and I hope they do more. Like I we'll see what it does. Again, competition's good, right? This should make Paramount, who's got the Champions League, right? Yeah. Paramount Plus got Champions League and NWSL. NBC with Premier League. It should force people to. Well, they got to get better. They're also going to have to spend a lot more money if they're going to compete with Apple.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. We'll kind of quickly, as being at the first weekend, we'll kind of quickly go down the first round of scores.
Do you mean because
matches?
As we know, always the first couple of weekends of MLS are basically like preseason. Rarely
seems that way.
Rarely indicative of the season.
Rarely indeed. Started off on Saturday with an earlier match, not on that 7:30 time that most of them took off on, but Nashville SC and New York City FC kicked us off, and it was the home side, Nashville, who came away victorious. Walker Zimmerman starred as the Tennessean side won 2-0 at home. Good win to start.
I met the
Nashville's
dude who
return
helped
to the East.
By the way, randomly, I just met the dude who helped design that stadium, the Nashville.
Oh, that's cool.
Stadium. Yeah, it's super cool, right? So when I want to go to a match, I'm supposed to reach out to him. We'll see what that experience is like. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. A 93rd and 99th minute goal from Thiago Almada, who is a World Cup winner because he was on the Argentinian side this past summer. Didn't really do anything but probably drink tea and eat free food, but nonetheless, completed the comeback at home for Atlanta United as they beat San Jose Earthquakes 2-1 on their home opener.
Should be noticed with around 65,000 people. Mm-hmm. Charlotte also had around 64,000. So the South loving some soccer.
One of the benefits of playing in a football stadium here in the States. The New England Revolution got off to winning ways in Charlotte, courtesy of their main center back Henry Kessler's goal at the death in the 89th minute to give the Reds a 1-0 victory. That was kind of the theme of week one. Mm. 1, there was no draws. 2, late goals.
Yeah, well, the next one in particular.
Exactly. A wild one took place in D.C. as Wayne Rooney's United score in the 90th and 98th minute to snatch all 3 points away from Toronto FC. And that 90th goal, do you know who that was scored by?
I do not.
A signing that we didn't mention on the last pod, but did come in the offseason. Former Premier League player, used to play for Palace and a few other teams. Christian Benteke.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. God, I forgot about
that 90th. He came kind of early in the offseason for what the MLS had.
I'm sure he'll want to go someday to other places, but man, I like a Wayne Rooney coaching in MLS.
I do too.
He's just got that blue collar vibe that just, I don't know. It works, man. It works.
And for another team that is called United and has that red and black kind of look to it. Yeah, absolutely. But the game not only ended in a 3-2 loss for Toronto, but they also lost their big DP signing last season, Lorenzo Insigne, due to injury, who exited the game in the 34th minute. That's a loss for them.
Have we heard what the deal is?
I have not seen anything yet. I don't think anything fully has come out yet, but he's probably going to be out at least for the next handful of games. FC Cincinnati get a win over Houston Dynamo by a score of 2-1 at TQL Stadium in Cincinnati. Good way to start their team. They're kind of a dark horse favorite to win it all, with Brandon Vasquez and a few others there. Lord, I cannot remember the dude's name that had all of the assists last season, but they'll be looking to by sure make the playoffs, but to try to go all the way as they in Cincinnati have some high hopes. And the name I was thinking of was Luciano Acosta. So a good win for them. Down south, it was Inter Miami who score in either half to blank CF Montreal 2-0 in their home opener down in the south coast of Florida. Now, on the other, a little bit up I-95 there and cut across via I-4 if you want, and you would land at Orlando City Stadium, just off of one of the downtown exits. And not the best game of the night. It was split in several categories in terms of stats, but was a great result for us here in Orlando City as we got the lone goal on the night, courtesy of Facundo Torres penalty in the 56th minute of play. It was good to see him score. I was actually at the match, and I actually went with Phil, and we had just gotten a drink with Tony, and kind of got back to our seats late, but we got back to our seats at the right time because we heard a whistle blow, the fans cheer, and we knew it was a pen. We got to our seats and got to see all of it. You need to check out our Instagram story. I posted that there as well. I
may be a biased Orlando City fan, but on the note of not indicative of the season, I love this kind of open and winning one for Orlando because, not indicative of the season, rough game, but you still managed to pull out that win.
Where in years past, we would have lost that. By
absolutely. Absolutely. So that's the kind of MLS, man, I would almost say across the board, the people who win the league are scrappy winners in crappy games because there's so much parity in the league, right? And so those crappy games, they just come and they happen. So that's a good one to see. I liked it.
And kind of a fun fact here, Orlando City remained unbeaten in their home openers. Now, we've only won 2 or 3. We've drawn all the rest of them, but we have not been beaten.
Hey, I'll take it.
Home openers. It's kind of interesting. The Philadelphia Union, well, they're still the Philadelphia Union once again, as a brace from both Daniel Gazdag and Julian Carranza completed a complete just butt whooping as they wiped out an early goal, which put the Columbus Crew up 1-0, and they put 4 past them, so 4-1 was the final. And boy, did the Union look scary good once again. And I kicking myself because when my pick to win the MLS Cup, I was trying to be cheeky and like Portland, might sneak in there, and just kind of how the MLS sometimes plays out, this like parody club that did so bad last year will sneak in there and win the whole thing. But the Union are the odds-on favorite. They're the best. I'm like, after seeing that, I'm like, ooh, they got a good chance of winning it all.
Yeah, they look good. They look like they skipped a beat. The next one, though,
they do not.
This is a history-making one.
St. Louis City SC get their first ever win in the MLS and over an MLS Cup favorite side in Austin FC at Austin FC's place. So on the road in their first MLS game, they not only got their first goal in club history by way of Tim Parker, one of their center backs, but they also had to come from behind. Got goals from Joao Colasus in the 86th minute, which made it 3-2 to the away side. So they were up, down, and then up again and won 3-2 on the road. What a first match for the new boys in the MLS. I think Austin FC is going to be just fine, by the way, too.
Sure.
This long season.
Again, not indicative of the season, but
correct.
Heck of an opening win for St. Louis.
Absolutely. Minnesota United, without their man, Manuel Reynosa, who has not showed up at all preseason. It's kind of odd. He's like on a sabbatical. It's very, very weird there. But anyways, they get the win on the road at FC Dallas, 1-0, courtesy of a Mender Garcia strike in the 48th minute. 2 quick goals in the 70th and 73rd minute for Real Salt Lake completed the comeback as Real beat the Vancouver Whitecaps at home at BC Place, at their home. And Real Salt Lake start off quite good in the West. And I think the best start from a team in the West was the Seattle Sounders, who yesterday came out firing as they beat my Colorado Rapids 4-0 at Lumen Field in Seattle. Whew. Jordan Morris got on the score sheet. I mean, it butt whooping. Now, as I kind of said at the prior of this, there were 2 matches that were postponed. One's on right now in the 27th minute. Portland's up 1-0. I have to go back and see the goal at half. But the coverage, it looks great so far. So once we're done here with the pod, I'm going to watch the second half and take in the Apple coverages. I was at the game on Saturday, so I didn't get a chance to see a lot of it. But that game was postponed due to weather and just postponed 2 days. And it's still Portland, so rain is always kind of a possibility of possibly being included in there. But the other match was the El Tráfico Derby. It's supposed to be played at the Rose Bowl between LA Galaxy and LAFC. That match was postponed because, I don't know if you've heard, but LA is going through this weird,
friggin' snow
winter storm
on the Hollywood sign and everything else. Yeah.
That's weird for LA, super rare. You can't expect that. But anyways, I think this new match date actually makes more sense than it does on the opening day. They postponed the match until July 4th, Independence Day.
Good grief. That makes
sense.
That's going to be awesome. You just might. Welcome to Earth.
Welcome to Earth. Punch at the Rose Bowl. That'd be a hell of a way. Set off some fireworks, fly over a flyover with some stealth bombers.
Yeah. I am just looking at these pictures of LA with people taking pictures of the Hollywood sign with snow-capped mountains behind it, and it is just crazy.
Wild. But that is first week in MLS, and that is your La Liga's roundup.
Boom. Look at that, man. Hey, we kind of stayed on time. We'll just say it's Ron's fault usually that we go over since he's not here to defend it. That's what
Chelsea this, Chelsea that.
Actually, we were all about Chelsea today.
Yeah, we were.
To wrap up here, our beer mentions of the pod, I had the Tennessee Lager from Hap and Harry's. I can't wait to try more of their stuff. Like you said, what a great name. Great friends, great beer. Love it.
Yeah, I want to have one of those
Hap and Harry's
if I'm up there. And I had something we had on the pod not too long ago, a few episodes back, but were in my fridge, and I felt they were appropriate. From Manchester, England, from Northern Monk, I had Heathen Hazy IPA 7.2%, which I'm having right now. And then my first beer was Northern Star's Chocolate Caramel Biscuit Porter at 5.2%. I cannot wait to go back to that part of England and go back to this brewery and try out a few more in the area because they make some damn good beer up there.
Well, you earned it. You earned a repeat viewing or a repeat sipping. Put it that way.
Thank you.
Speaking of repeats, well, no, again, gosh, whenever there's not one of us missing, I always get thrown off on the rotation. So if you would, and for those of you listening, give us a follow, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Untapped, especially because we share all our beers there. We want to see your beers as well. And if you want to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, however you listen to us, if you do, let us know. Take a screen grab or something, send it to us in a private message, and we will try to get you a magnet or koozie, something out in the mail to you.
And shout out to Dan Brook. I work with him at FanDuel, and he gave us a star. Not a single star rating. He gave us a 4-star or whatever you can give on Apple Podcast and a follow and a download. And is going to share it with all of his friends that love the beautiful game, and sent him out this past week a goodies bag, if you will. And I still owe him a few more things as we're kind of out of stock on koozie and those updated.
Oh, let me know what you need.
But
I got some things. I do have a few of those left, some koozies. So if you do, let me know.
I'll let you know. But anyways, shout out to Dan. Thank you for the support and listening to us. And as Latan said, I like fireworks too, but I set them off in gardens or in kebab stands. I never set fire to my own house. That is in response to Mario Balotelli's fireworks accident at his home several years back.
It also could have been a quote about Ronaldo.
That's very true.
I was like, wait a minute. Is that something he said recently about Ronaldo? Like figuratively setting off fireworks in his own house? That's pretty good.
And Zlatan just returned to the AC Milan side this weekend. So, and their fourth kit. I don't know if you see the AC Milan's fourth kit. Woo, Nally Drew's going to look good in that, man. It is sharp looking.
Yeah. Always going to look good.
Absolutely.
Now, Ferris, I got a story for you.
Go ahead.
There's this kid who was in school for his geography lesson.
Sure. And
he asked his teacher, what's the smallest sea? And she said, is it the Mediterranean Sea? Or she asked, pardon me, is it the Mediterranean Sea? No. Is it the Caribbean Sea? No. Is it the Arabian Sea? No. By far the smallest sea is Chelsea.
Long stride, but appropriate for the pod and appropriate when Ron's not here.
Yeah, I thought so. I was like, I'll sneak this in while he's not here. Because I had another one, but I was like, I had to go try to get me one because I had one, but I was like, it's math themed. I'll save that for Ron. All right, sir. Always a pleasure. Fun to do a duo pod again with you.
Absolutely.
Here we go. Love the beer. Cherish the game. The Brewtiful Game.
Hang in there, Ron. Safe travels. You'll be fine skiing and not watching Chelsea ski their way down to relegation zone.
Amen.